Hello, welcome to Chapter 15 for Business Math called Sales. This is Lesson 15.5, Selling Price, Markup Based on Selling Price. Kind of a long title there. All right, make sure you're reading the chapter as we go. Pay attention to the examples, the concepts, key terminology, what formulas are they using, how are they using them, why are we doing what we're doing in the calculations, so that we understand what it is we're doing through each piece of the problem. Because as we get through the chapter, they kind of culminate a little bit, meaning they come together and we have to do more than one of the calculations. And if we don't understand what we're doing in individual pieces, we're definitely not going to understand what we're doing on a bigger scale. So definitely pay attention to the concepts there. All right, so let's go ahead and read the summary here. We have, you can use the cost of an item and the desired markup rate based on selling price to determine the selling price of your products. Selling price equals the cost divided by the complement of the markup rate. If you remember back from chapter 14, complement was one of our key terminology that we needed to make sure we understood in that chapter for sure. And now it's coming back in this chapter. So the way we calculate the complement is when we're given the rate, we subtract from 100. So what this does is it allows us to simply do a simple calculation by subtracting from the 100 and then take that number and we're going to divide the cost by that number. And it'll immediately give us the selling price. So we don't have to do any adding back or anything like that. So let's go ahead and practice on number 1. So we're going to subtract from 100%. 100% minus 42 gives us 52%. So I already have that first piece filled in. And now we're going to do 75.49 divided by 58%. Let me get my calculator open here. So 75.49 divided by, sorry, I was typing that in my with my keypad here, divided by, and make sure you put in 0.58, don't put 58 in there. And in this case, I've noticed on my computer, if I put 58 and click the little percent sign to move it, it automatically multiplies it. It actually does it wrong. So it doesn't like that. It thinks you want to multiply it because you're hitting the percent sign. So kind of funky calculator function there. So be careful about that. If I hit equals, I get $130.16, and that's what that came up as, right? 16, yes. Okay. Perfect. So, and we rounded off to the nearest cent. It tells us that right here. It told us that up here. So make sure, don't go past 2 decimals there. Round it off. So you're going to do that same thing for each one of these. You're going to subtract from 100. That'll give you your complement. And then you're going to divide your cost by that complement. And that'll give you your selling price. All right, so number 7, 8, and 9, you're doing exactly the same calculation, just from a word problem. So you're going to look for your cost and your markup. And let's see, I want to make sure. So yeah, so first I would look for the markup just so that you can do the complement here first. And then you'll have your actual complement rate. And then you're going to divide your cost. So you're going to be given those 2 things. You're going to be given your cost and your markup rate in all of these. So I can already see here's the cost of one model. Here's the markup rate based on selling price. The markup rate and the cost of the 1 CD cost universal, $10.43. So each one, we're going to be given those 2 pieces. We just need to calculate the complement and then divide the cost by that. Okay, so not too crazy on this one. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next page here. Ooh. So we have 3 questions on this page. And let me see. So number 10, no difference here. We're doing exactly the same thing we did on the last couple of questions. We're going to be given the markup and we're going to give them the cost. The only difference here is that we have 2 parts to do. So I'm going to show you on this one. So your company designs small silk screen prints for $35 each. So we know how much they cost. You sell them to a chain department store at 25% markup. based on the selling price. The department store sells the screen to the consumer at a 40% markup. So we have to pay attention to the wording here. So first, what is the selling price of one silk screen print to the department store? So we need the complement, right? So we have 100 minus 25, and this is a percent. Goodness, I don't know why the here's messing up. There we go. Equals 75%. So there's my complement. And I'm going to take my cost and divide by my complement. Okay. And that'll give me what I sell a silkscreen print for to the department store. And then the department store is going to sell it at a 40% markup. So we need to take what they buy it for, and we're going to multiply their complement markup. So we're going to do 100% minus the 40%, and that gets us the 60%, right? That's a pretty easy calculation, hopefully, for everybody. So we have our complement for the department store, but we need this amount. So I'm going to put a box here. I'm not going to give you that amount. And you're going to divide that by the 60% to know what the department store will sell it for to the individual. So we just have to make sure we follow along on that one. You're not going to multiply or divide the 35 by 60 again, because they're not going to be paying $35. They're paying more than that. It was marked up by 40 or 25% for them. So they need to charge more to the individual customer that comes to buy it from them. So pay attention to the wording on that one. Let's see. Exact same idea as that on number 11. So it costs your company $8.89 to manufacture a steering component for a car. You sell the component to a distributor for $10.99. The distributor sells the component to the auto parts store for 21% markup. So the auto parts store sells the components to a consumer at a 60% markup. So you're doing the exact same thing. You need to first figure out how much it costs to sell it to the distributor, or the distributor to sell it to the auto parts store. How much are we charging them to buy this piece? And then once you figure that part out, you can use that number to calculate how much the selling price will be to the individual consumers from the auto parts store. So same thing, two-part calculation there. The last one goes back to a single calculation, it looks like. So BG Supply knows from the past expense records that it must charge a markup of 42.5% of a selling price of its merchandise. The store received a shipment of decorative landscape stones at a cost of $358.41. What is the minimum selling price that the store should charge? So again, we need to find our complement. Boom. So calculate your complement, and then you're going to take that complement. Take the price cost that we just were told up here, and we're going to divide it by the complement, right? This piece down here, we're just bringing it down. And that's going to tell us the minimum we need to charge. So we have to charge this much. We could charge more, but it needs to be at least this much in order to kind of stay afloat, to make a profit. All right, I hope that helped, and I will see you in section 6.